Hey everyone. So I was originally gonna wait on making this video, but a couple of coincidences led me to making it now. So basically, I had this gameplay here. This is like the only spare gameplay I had. As I might have said before, I pretty much saved like all the gameplay of me being teamed up on, but I don't upload all of it. Like a lot of it just sort of like sits in my storage until I realize that I need to delete some stuff. And then I delete stuff up to a certain date, and then that's basically that. So a lot of it just doesn't get uploaded, and really, as you've probably seen, it's nothing really special at this point. Like, imagine if I did upload all of it, it would just be boring. But yeah, I saved it, and then, you know, it was probably just going to stay there. And what happened earlier today was I decided to contribute to someone's art giveaway. I'm gonna leave a link to like their Furry affinity or something, or maybe the Discord server. I'll just see whatever I can find a link to. But I decided to contribute to someone's art giveaway, and so of course it's like randomized. So like someone random gets to get free art from me, basically. So that happened, and what happened in the middle of me drawing is that my Apple Pencil went low on battery, and then I couldn't find my little attachment to charge my Apple Pencil directly with the charger. So what I have to do is I have to plug it into my iPad, and then have the iPad not be in use for it to actually charge. Or else it'll charge like either not at all or just extremely slowly. So my iPad's temporarily out of commission, and so I decided, you know, I'll just make this video with the only gameplay I have saved right now. And so here I am. And so yesterday was it yesterday? I think it was like either yesterday or 2 days ago. I was watching one of IBX Toy Cat streams, and then someone sent him a super chat asking him his opinion on furries. And in his Discord he has a rule against furry content, and also a rule against Star Wars. And now the Star Wars rule, that was confirmed to be a joke. And for the longest I actually assumed that the furry rule was a joke too, because there was plenty of furry content in the server which the mods did nothing about. And then but when someone sent that super chat, he basically, you know, didn't want to talk about it, and he gave his reasoning. Because like he said they didn't really have a problem with like anything like between consenting adults or something like that. Which sort of made me realize that, you know, his perception of like furry content is like necessarily like adult stuff. Which kind of interesting, because like most people who I found that, you know, like assume that are people who are just like otherwise like really dumb too. But IBX Toy Cat is definitely like, you know, a really smart guy. You know, he thinks about stuff like that, so you know, it's not like incredibly shocking that he thinks that, but at the same time it is like somewhat surprising and sort of interesting in a way too. You know, like how he got that perception and stuff. It doesn't really matter too much because, you know, he allows things that, you know, are to be allowed. Like if what his view of furry content is like this is just all the stuff that shouldn't be allowed, and you know, he allows, you know, the safe for work furry content and stuff. That's very much fine. Like, I don't really have an issue with that. But still, I think it is a warped perception of what a furry is. And the reason why it is because, you know, furries are a community. And the significance of that is basically that to really define what what makes the community, you have to find a thing in common with them. So like, you know, you take like a group of people and then you find out pretty much why this is a community that has been formed. So for example, if you try to categorize furries by, you know, by enjoying like, you know, the adult-oriented furry content, you're really gonna exclude a lot of the furries. Like, as a lot of you know, well, probably a few of you know, I like to follow fur science studies, and in case you don't know, they're basically a group of researchers who do research on like furry psychology and stuff. And of course, like, this group is specifically for like studies on furries, but the individual researchers are also parts of other groups. So like, you know, they aren't just like scientists for this sake. And also, they actually do like real science. Like, you can look at like the sorts of like evidence they have and the sorts of studies that they do. And, you know, you'll see that they're not just people who just like make observations or whatever, or like do like some incomplete form of the scientific method. You know, science is all about evidence, so if you don't want to believe what I say, you can go ahead and take a look. But yeah, something that I find interesting about fur science actually is sort of their definition of a furry, right? And I can't remember exactly what it was, but like, first of all, the fact that your furry has to say, well no, hold on, I have to start with like the whole anthropomorphic animal media thing. So like, so first of all, a furry has to be a fan of anthropomorphic animal media, right? So that's basically what furry content is. But being a fan of that doesn't make you a furry. So for example, SpongeBob is technically furry content, right? So because, you know, SpongeBob, I think every major character in SpongeBob is an anthropomorphic animal. You could argue against like SpongeBob himself because sponges are arguably not animals. Like, I don't think they meet the minimum criteria to be an animal. But things like the starfish and I think even jellyfish meet that criteria. So yeah, almost every, if not every, character in SpongeBob is an anthropomorphic animal. And so yeah, that would make SpongeBob furry media, but being a fan of SpongeBob doesn't make you furry, because the second criteria is that it has to be significant enough to say something about you. So sort of like the example that that I think the head researcher gave, Dr. Nuka gave, was that like he likes chocolate, and many people like chocolate, but very few people like chocolate enough to like, for example, introduce themselves as like a chocolate lover. Right? They don't like it to that degree.
30 seconds.
So same way how, you know, you most likely wouldn't necessarily be classified as, you know, a chocolate lover just for, you know, liking chocolate. You wouldn't necessarily be classified as a furry for liking, you know, a show like SpongeBob. But then the third criteria is the thing that I found was interesting, that which I somewhat have to disagree with, but like the whole definition is sort of arbitrary in a way, where it's like, you know, you sort of choose based on what you're trying to describe. So like, it has to be arbitrary. There isn't really a way around that, so that's not really what I have an issue with. But what the third criteria is basically that you have to self-identify as a furry. And so I want to compare that to being a fan of basically anything else, because that's exactly, how basically everyone describes it, like every furry, plus, the first science people, the first science scientists describe it, where, you're a fan to, like, a significant degree. So what I actually want to do is I want to compare that to basketball. Or, like, anything else. Like, replace basketball with, like, anything else, like, any other sport or whatever. But, like, imagine someone who's a fan enough of basketball to, like, let's say, own a bunch of basketball merch. They watch, quite a bit of their team's game. And, stuff like that, You can tell that, that they love basketball, and it's probably one of their favorite things to interact with in some way. Whether they're watching it, or they're analyzing statistics, or maybe even playing it. It's definitely one of their favorite things, right? But then could you imagine someone like that not considering themselves a basketball fan? And then, the fact that they don't personally consider themselves a basketball fan pretty much prevents them from being defined as one. Like, that would be really bizarre. Like, I'm pretty sure anyone would still consider that person a basketball fan. Even if, like, you could argue that objectively speaking that they're not, if that was the criteria. And so that's sort of what Fur Science has done in terms of furries. And granted, there's not, like, a whole lot of overlap of people who are that into, like, furry stuff, but then they don't consider themselves furries. But either way, I found it a really interesting distinction. And a very bizarre one, too. So yeah, that's really all for now. See ya.